Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's March 27th. These are your headlines. We got tog season opening up across southern New England on April 1st. We've got Crafty One Customs holding a captain's corner this weekend. That's something you definitely don't want to miss. On the fishing end of things, we've got striped bass chasing herring in some of the holdover spots. We're hearing about some really good trout fishing out on the Cape. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. First one we'll talk about is that Captain's Corner. That's going to be at Crafty One Customs. That's at 1980 East Main Road in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. And the crew over at Crafty One is gathering together some of the best captains in Rhode Island, and they're basically there for you to talk to. Whether you want to talk about tog or tuna or surf or striped bass or whatever you want to talk about, that's what they're there for. There's going to be refreshments. It's going to be a great day, and for a little more on that, so for all the details, we're going to talk to Ralph now. Here he is.
Well, hello everyone. Ralph Kraft from Crafty One, and we have a really cool announcement. We're bringing back the Captain's Corner. That's right. It's just around the corner. It's going to be here March 30th, 1 to 3, in the back here at the shop. We have over 10 captains coming. You just get to come, show up, ask them, talk to them in person, ask them anything you want. Cover tog, cover tuna, cover striper, kayak, boat, shore. Got captains for everything and all of it here for you. So it'll be March 30th from 1 to 3 here at the shop. Hope to see you here. Come by. We'll have refreshments and food, and yeah, maybe you'll spend some money. We'll see you then. Bye.
Next thing, we've got tog season opening up across southern New England on April 1st. That's Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Early tog season can be tough. You know, it's colder water. Fish are a little more sluggish, a little harder to get to bite. But there are some spots that will put out fish, and we'll talk about those as the report goes on. Flounder season also opens on April 1st in Massachusetts and in Connecticut. And if you're interested in trying to sort of notch that sort of early spring grand slam, which would be a winter flounder, a tog, and a striped bass, we got an article all about that in the April edition, written by Mikey D'Alfonso, a good friend of mine, great writer. And he's an angler who looks at things a little bit differently. So this talks about catching all three of those species using the same rig. He's using a kayak to access these fish. He even gives you some spots where you might get it done. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And while we're talking about the April edition came out this week, and it should be arriving in your mailbox any day now. A lot of great articles in there. One of my favorite ones, though, is it's a story by Captain Mike Roy all about interpreting your electronics. So it basically gives you the inside edge on looking, using your electronics to catch more fish, and it's being brought to you by one of the guys who knows it best. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. A whole bunch of other great stories in this issue as well. You don't want to miss it. There's a great profile about Rowan Lytle in there. There's a story about all these different fishing myths that you're going to enjoy. It's great issues, so definitely check that out. Last thing in the news here is the giveaway, which is ongoing. Not a lot of photos this week, not really sure why. I guess guys just aren't catching at the moment. But we're going to be giving away a surf howdy made by me. And we're also going to give away a Dexter fillet knife. It's a really great prize pack. Yeah, you guys know the drill by now, but it's just got to be a picture of you holding your fish. You got to send me an email or a text with all of the pertinent details. So the name of the angler, where it was caught, how big the fish was, what it was caught on, anything else that you think might be pertinent to including in a caption. We'll get you in the magazine, we'll get you in the report, and you might even win something cool. This one's going to wrap up on May 25th, so you got a long time to get it done. But get out there, catch some fish, get those photos in, and we'll see who wins.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Looking up north, seems like my guys up there are not reporting right now. I think either they're just kind of sick of ice fishing, or maybe the ice is getting a little iffy. My guess is that interior northern New England still has plenty of safe ice, but I've seen more guys now fishing the rivers and streams in Maine, kind of in the coastal area there, doing some trout fishing. Seems like a lot of guys are just itching to get out there with the rod and reel. And, as these weeks progress, it's just going to be more and more possible. Now we're going to drop over the border and we'll check in with Kevin Hoang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle checking in with the weekly report. Oh man, those guys offshore fishing, deep sea party boats, they did really well. They caught a bunch of redfish their first time out, which just means tons of fish tacos. And then the second trips and the following trips, they caught some cuss and some redfish, mixed batch, but still getting, from what I heard, like 50 a person. That's plenty of fish to eat. And cuss makes a great fish chowder. Here's some pictures of some cuss caught on one of those trips. Freshwater fishing, rainbow trout and brown trout, and I think brookies usually come last, but the fishing for those has been really well because everything is iced out now, and MassGov has been stocking everything. You can check the trout stocking on MassGov. If you type in MassGov trout stock and MA, you can follow the whole map and see where they stock everything. But in the Cape, there's a rumor that they put some retired browns, which are gigantic. Here's a picture of a trout caught recently. And let's see, herring. Whew, there's a rumor locally by the Merrimack, there was an osprey flying up with one of the herrings, shredding it to pieces. That means the osprey got the scout, because down in the Cape, they got herring already. So usually us, north of Boston, we usually get it within a couple weeks. So there's only one thing that means: fishing is starting. So get all your gear out, dust it off, go do some freshwater fishing, catch some trout, and then get ready, because you know what's coming. Striped bass, that is coming. I'll see you guys next week.
Talking to my contacts out in Central Mass, there's no ice anymore, and open water fishing is really starting to catch fire out there. The state has been out stocking in the central region, which has really caused quite a stir from what I've been hearing. So a lot of the areas that I used to fish, like Pratt Pond in Upton, or Hopkinton Reservoir, or Ashland Reservoir, or Whitehall, or any of those in the Central Mass area, they've all been stocked. And it seems like whenever DFW posts on their Instagram or their Facebook that they recently stocked one of these ponds, there's like hysteria. It just gets mobbed by anglers, guys out there, trying to bend the rod for the first time of the year, especially after such a cold, snowy, icy winter. A lot of guys are out there just trying to get the rod bent. So that's been really great to see. Heading out west from there, looks like most of the ice is gone in Western Mass as well. In fact, I saw Roy Leva posted his first open water fish of the year, which is a really nice trout. And while we're talking about Roy, let's check in with him. Here he is.
Hey Dave, Roy Leva here from Western Mass. We'll start it off with ice fishing's over. We do have some few lakes and ponds that are still skimmed over with some ice. They're starting to open. Obviously the weather's getting better, so it's only a matter of time. But the good news is that the state has begun to stock out here in Western Mass. Our first stocking's got a dose of broodstock browns, and I mean, these fish are just beautiful. They look like they've never been in a tank before. I gave them a few days before I went out. I've gotten quite a bit of them, mostly on metals and jerkbaits. That's my inbox has been pounded on Instagram and Facebook with people asking me what I'm using. So, 1/8 ounce to 3/8 ounce Castmaster. I prefer gold. I think gold's just a great color. And then jerkbaits. Size really doesn't matter. I mean, these are big fish. They're anywhere from 4 to over 10 pounds. So if you've never caught a big brown, this is your chance right now. They're there to be caught. The state is continuing to stock other trout as well. And I heard rumors of surplus broodstock brookies going in at some point. Whether Western Mass is going to get those or not, I do not know. What I do know is that some of our ponds and lakes have gotten some really big browns. So I'll catch you guys later next week. Peace.
Heading down to the sort of southeast Mass region, a lot of largemouth bass fishing going on there. We're seeing a lot of guys getting it done with jerkbaits and jigs, some guys doing some big swim bait stuff as well. I haven't seen any absolute giants, but I've seen a lot of nice fish in that 3 to 5 pound range. Seems like jerkbaits are leading the way right now. It's still pretty cold, so those long pauses are getting those fish. The other thing that's going on, of course, is that a lot of stocking going on. Massachusetts has been making it a priority over these past few years to grow bigger trout. And we're starting to reap the benefits of that now. I've heard about several really big rainbow trout caught over the last week. Some of those came from Long Pond, some of those came from Little Pond, and some of the other ones came from out on the Cape. The fishing has been very good in that region. And as you cross the canal, there's really not much else to say about it. A lot of the same stuff going on. We got really good largemouth bass fishing throughout the Cape, some big pickerel. I have seen some really nice smallies coming out of some of the deeper ponds out on the Cape. And then the trout fishing has just been off the charts. A lot of nicer fish this year. A lot of guys getting it done with jerk baits, which is really cool. Something that I always want to talk about whenever I'm talking about stock trout, especially freshly stocked trout, is that, you know, they don't have any instincts. You know, they've been raised in a tank. So you don't really need to have a jerk bait or any bait really that looks just like a yellow perch or something like that. What you really want is you want to stand out. You're just trying to catch their attention. They have sort of this raw instinct to react to movement. So if you make that bait stand out, you know, use a jerk bait that's like bright orange or shimmering gold or chartreuse or even solid white. It's going to get their attention, and it just seems like they're sort of genetically programmed to lash out at things that move like that. Other thing, of course, is the tog season, which will open up on April 1st, which is just around the corner here. You know, talking to some of the tackle shops, I know Mako's is one of them. They're planning to have crabs on day one, and some of the better tog fishing that happens in that area happens up around the west end of the canal. So that's an area that you guys can definitely check out if you want to notch that first tog of the year. I have a feeling, you know, it might be a week or 10 days or something like that before the bite really starts to come together. But, you know, it's going to be happening eventually. And, you know, I would concentrate on those east tides out in that area. And I think that's going to give you a better shot at getting some of those fish. And that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, quick report for the East Bay area. A little bit of South Coast Massachusetts, just right over the border. I kind of consider it the East Bay. But we got 2 more weeks until we get the opener there for the freshwater trout season. And it's looking good. Did a little forecast check for 2 weeks out just to see what the weather might look like. It's looking like 50s, no rain on that Saturday for opening day. So things are looking good for that. Fishing in the Rhode Island, East Bay area, Omega Pond, Echo Lake, a couple other small little ponds. Still good, still productive. I had a chance this weekend to fish with Todd Treones. He took a trip up here to Swansea, and we were able to get out into Milford Pond and give him a tour of all the other ponds. We fished in a couple other ones we didn't do as well as we did in Milford Pond, but I tell you, we got on a red hot bite with crappie, and it was almost every cast. And both of us were just using like a slip dauber with a smelt from Gulp or any end, either 3 or 4 inch, and it was every cast. So we had a hell of a time, and we caught a lot of fish, and it's good. That pond's been pretty hot. There's been some bass caught in there. There's some chain pickerel. There's also some perch being caught in that pond also. So if you're going to get out in the upcoming weekend, it's a 50-50 weekend of fish, but it's still going to be good weather. I think you got some good opportunities with some holdover stripers. With this warmer weather, I think it's just triggering that bite a little bit. And if you get up into the Seekonk River, maybe the Providence River, and maybe some other tidal waters in the area or in the neighboring Rhode Island, South County area, there's fish around, and you just got to work for them. You got to find them, and once you find them, the bite's there. So that's all we got from the East Bay, and we'll check in with you guys next week. Tight lines, guys.
Moving over into Rhode Island, there's 2 main things that are going on in Rhode Island right now, and that's striped bass fishing and largemouth bass fishing. The striper guys have been getting it done mostly in the holdover spots, although I did hear of one fish taken out front, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But, you know, these holdover spots are being sort of, or the bites sort of being lit up or enhanced by herring moving in. So we're seeing that happen in the salt ponds. We're seeing that happen in some of the tidal rivers. We're seeing that happen way up inside the bay a little bit too. So, you know, whenever these herring start to move in, whatever stripers have held over really get charged up. And this is a great time to get out there and get on them. We've seen some good fish this week too. We've seen some fish, you know, in the slot, even some that went over the slot, and one that was over 40 inches. So these bites are starting to come together now, and it's an exciting time of the year to get out there and, you know, catch that first striped bass of the season. Another thing that we saw, Dustin Stevens made a trip out in the kayak, out in the actual open ocean this week. Picked a good day without too many waves, and he did find a slot-sized striped bass out there, and he also got into some codfish, which is really cool to see. And, you know, that's pretty much the story that I'm seeing across Rhode Island. But while we're talking about it, let's check in with Jeff Sullivan. Here he is.
What's up, guys? What's up, Dave? Back at it this week with another pre-spawn largemouth. Hey, big swim baits, big bass. That's what I gotta say. They're out here, guys. Go get them. Rock piles, ledges, anywhere that fish can stage up and ambush prey this time of year and warm up. Yep, they're out there. And the jerk bait's working as well. That's the twitch pause. You just got to find the cadence. But yeah, I got to get this guy back, and I'll check in with you guys next week. Later.
And then the last thing we'll talk about is just out in the western part of the state. We are still hearing about some striped bass up inside the Pawcatuck River. And, you know, they got the herring moving in there. We're seeing a lot of smaller bait moving around in there, which has made for a pretty good bite that's happening up in that area. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Crossing over into Connecticut, Connecticut fishermen, they're like a different breed when it comes to blackfish. And I think that might just be because their season is dramatically shorter than what we have in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So on that first day, on April 1st, you can bet that there will be guys out there trying to get those first tog. Now, I've been dealing with the Connecticut report in one capacity or another for almost 20 years. And the one thing that I can tell you over that time is that, you know, for the guys that want to get out there and catch those first tog of the season, those first 2 weeks, you're much better off fishing west of the Connecticut River, and I would even go so far as to say the western quarter of the state is gonna be better. So places like the New Haven Walls or the Stratford Walls or some of the wrecks out off of Milford. These are the spots that tend to put out these fish. Tend to put out the earliest fish. In the Eastern Sound, I think we have a lot more water exchange, you know, coming from outside in Block Island Sound and Fisher's Island Sound and stuff like that. And the water's just a lot colder. If you really want to get it done in the Eastern Sound, I would concentrate on Niantic Bay. You just sort of have that, you know, it's slightly more confined. We also have the influence of Millstone with a warm water discharge, just kind of pushing some warmer water into the area, which may inspire whatever tog are in the area to feed a little earlier than what's in the surrounding areas. We also have flounder season opening up on the same day, on April 1st. Eastern Sound has some good spots for that, like Bluff Point and Mystic River and a few other spots up inside Niantic Bay again. But we also have some spots out in the Western Sound. Milford Harbor has always been good. Up in Bridgeport, they get them. Also around Norwalk Harbor, they find these fish. So a lot of options for these, you know, various bottom species that we have early in the season. So you got that. On the striped bass end of things, we're starting to see more and more fish in the actual sound. Most of those fish are west of the Connecticut River, pretty, you know, considerably west of the Connecticut River, like figure New Haven and points west from there. But there are some, you know, sort of migrating striped bass. I have a feeling those are holdover fish that have just moved out of, you know, the Housatonic or some other river and are just sort of poking their way along the coast. But it is significant to know that those fish are out there. And then, you know, as we get as we kind of leap into the freshwater end of things, which is what more guys are doing right now. Most guys are freshwater fishing. Connecticut did a great service to anglers and tackle shops by, having this catch and release season over these last 5 years. It's really gotten people to get out earlier. It's provided business for the tackle shops, and we're seeing it every week. Just so many guys getting out there and taking advantage of the stocking reports on Deep's Facebook page, and trout fishing, by all accounts, has just been exceptionally productive for everybody. As we get up closer to the Connecticut River, you got a lot more options there. We've got pan fishing up in the coves like Hamburg Cove and Chapman Pond and places like that. You got white perch, you got yellow perch, you got crappie. All those fish are biting well right now. We've got the pike fishery up at Haddam, which is not quite what it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, but guys are still getting up there. A lot of guys throwing the bigger shiners are catching fish. I haven't heard of any really big ones yet, but the bite seems to be picking up a little bit more every week, so that's something that you guys can cash in on. And then you got the holdover striper spots all throughout the Connecticut River. You're just kind of heading off into those tributaries and those little backwaters that go off the river. And the bite from what I've been hearing has been on the slower side, but there are guys getting some fish. And while we're in the Connecticut River area, let's check in with our field correspondent, starting with Rowan Lytle. Here he is.
Hello everyone. So the Connecticut River's definitely settled down a bit from the significant flooding that we had last week. It's still very high and still quite a bit muddy, but there's a lot less debris, and on the whole back down to a fairly typical spring level. Water temperatures are still fairly cool. The pike really haven't started to spawn yet. They're still in pre-spawn mode, and most things are fairly quiet. But again, if you fish bait, it's a great time to get on some catfish and some pre-spawn carp. It can be the best time of year to get a really large channel catfish. It can be a really great time of year to get a gigantic carp as well. Those are going to be my primary focuses, along with a little bit of pre-spawn pike in the coming weeks. In fact, I'm doing a bit of that with clients this weekend, but things should continue to improve. Not a ton of very warm days in the forecast, but that water temperature will just keep ticking up little by little, and things will only get better.
Now let's check in with Mike Roy from Reelcast Charters.
Hey everybody, just uncovered the Conch 27 right behind me, and over here just got this new Suzuki 250 put on, brand new power, so we are ready to go for the season. Still getting some of our tackle ready, but we're going to be starting April 8th, and we'll be casting light spinning rods. Usually we use like a 4000 series spinning reel, like a Stradic or Vanford, with 10 to 15 pound Power Pro, and a light spinning rod. I like the GCX Inshore series. We're casting small soft plastic, so usually 5 to 7 inch sluggos and finesse fish. It's fun. The fishing will kind of hit its peak usually mid-April. Once the water warms up enough to get the fish active, right before they make their migration north. So if you're interested, reach out and jump on one of our boats.
And then we'll wrap up the central region by checking in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook here with this week's fishing report. Definitely a warmer trend here, which I really love to see. I went out freshwater yesterday, a bunch of good rainbow trout, a bunch of bass. They're still pretty cold. They got that red lip going on still, but water's creeping towards 50, at least in local lakes near me, which is great. We've got some really nice weather ahead of us, it looks like, so hopefully that stays true, and we get that, and that should just, keep firing those fish up, which we love to see. Right now, for freshwater, I'm looking in, 15 feet or so, trying to cover the water column, deep diving jerk baits that suspend, slow rolling like Kitech, small paddle tails, things like that, jigs, or even just yesterday I resorted to trolling some small Rapalas, and that's what worked the best for me. For saltwater, holdover schoolies still kind of trending into active. That's what we always want to see this year. Water temps are still very cold. We had a hard, cold winter, so that's going to take time. But certainly, with each new stretch of warm weather, you can expect those holdover fish to be a little bit more active. And from now, pretty much all the way through with the start of May, you're going to be talking small, soft plastics, small like diving plugs, things like that, X-Wraps, you know, all those kinds of things that are just nice and slow, shallow divers. I like flukes personally because they can kind of like sit in one spot for a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at for those guys in the saltwater. And other than that, we await warmth.
And then heading west from there, a lot of the same stuff going on. A lot of guys trout fishing, a lot of guys chasing largemouth bass. And by all accounts, the fishing has been pretty good. You know, it's really starting to feel like spring out here. It's really inspiring people to get out of the house. It's also inspiring these fish to feed. And now that we're out in the extreme western part of the state, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. The state's doing a good job and they're still stocking all our local rivers, streams, and lakes. It's catch and release right now till the second Saturday of April. You can start harvesting at 6 a.m. on that date. You can come in the shop, grab your license. We're fully stocked up on all your lures, soft plastics, hard baits, spinner baits, all that you need to hit the freshwater when it opens up. And, you know, it's still a family tradition. People wait to fish, you know, the second Saturday with their family, their kids. You know, it's a really good day to get out and start fishing. It marks the, you know, start of the fishing season for a lot of people. The Saugatuck's fishing really well. The Miannis is fishing really well right now. And we're still waiting for the Nauk River to be stocked, but they're all fishing really good right now. And remember, the Saugatuck Reservoir still follows the second Saturday opening. So it is closed right now. People think, you know, it's open, so they're coming in, they want to get their permit and they go fish it, but it's closed until Saturday. We are, you know, stocked up on everything you need to get out there. And remember, license or cash only. On the saltwater side, the eyes are all still on the Housatonic. Guys are actually catching some really nice fish at night. I've seen fish over 40 inches again this past week on like SPs, mag darters, current snipers, and of course your soft plastics like big paddle tails, sluggos, GT, and stuff like that. On the beach side, like local rivers, they're fishing good too. Not lock and load like the Housatonic, but we are seeing some slot fish and mostly some schoolies caught on sandworms and bloodworms. You can definitely try some lures like some SPs. I would definitely concentrate on, you know, tidal rivers like the Nauk River, the Saugatuck, and then the harbors like Nauk Harbor, and try to work places where on low tide the mud's exposed, and then on high tide the water, you know, goes over the mud. You got about 6 feet with our tides. The water's warmer and the bass tend to gravitate towards there. All right, until next week and another local fishing report. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there and catch some fish and send those photos in. You might even win something cool. I want to remind you one more time that the April edition comes out this week. You can check it out at the tackle shop, or you can get it in your mailbox, or you can sign up online and start getting it right away. But it's a great read this month. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. If you're not a subscriber, I highly recommend you at least head over to our website, check out what we have to offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline you can think of, whether you're an offshore guy, a surf guy, a kayak guy, or whether you're strictly freshwater, we got you covered. It's $31.95 for the year. You're going to get 12 paper editions sent to your house, 26 digital editions sent to your email. It's the best $30 you can spend in fishing. You're also going to get digital access to all of our back issues and our other 2 editions. But even if after that you're still not interested, at the very least give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.